Betsy and Thomas here for the American Intelligence Media, where we are decoding the Trump tweets and doing a really good job, Thomas. Still, I haven't heard anyone decode them the way you can. So, now did you get your cappuccino and your cheesecake? You ready to go?
I had the chocolate cheesecake today. Oh my gosh. I don't know how you do these things.
Okay. Please tell Prime Minister Trudeau and President Macron that they are charging the U.S. massive tariffs and create non-monetary barriers. The EU trade surplus with the U.S. is $151 billion, and Canada keeps our farmers and others out. Look forward to seeing them tomorrow.
As you know, there is a huge Trump tweet war going on between pathetic Trudeau and Trump. And pathetic Trudeau is a soy boy. Of course, we know that. He is ridiculous. He had to get together and do bonding with Macron ahead of time so that they could then, and Macron could send out messages saying, oh, it's G7, but we'll make it into G6 plus 1. Ha! Here's the deal. Your 6 will all fail without the 1. You can't have the 1. Don't you get what's happening? He already told you. He wants to go denuclearize. First off, Japan is one of those 7, you idiot. Do you think Japan is going to agree to go against America? You two idiots. Trudeau and Macron, they look like they're high school students, first off. They know nothing, they've done nothing, and they're liars, and then they start quoting history. They have no sense of history, and they have no sense of what GATT is, which is violated by just their very words. The very tweets they sent violate almost every trade agreement that there is just by their own words. Trump is saying, you all have violated GATT. You violated NAFTA. You violated, and you wanted to go with TPP and you want to go with TIPP, all these trade agreements? You people are crazy. Don't you understand that without us you wouldn't exist? Don't you understand that all of you have surpluses? Don't you understand that we feed your budgets because you have institutionally come in and hacked up America and parceled it out and cheated and lied, and you're liars. You're both liars. How many times does he have to call you a liar before you stop attempting to try to use tweets to get back at the tweet master? You look like schoolboys, and you look like idiots because now the whole world knows about your lies. The whole world knows that you are stealing aluminum and steel from America and then selling it for higher prices. They know that you say to the very things we need to sell that you're going to put a 300% tariff on it.
Well, shame on us for allowing this to happen. I mean, some of the responsibility is on our own leaders for allowing this to happen.
Well, that's what he's saying. And he accuses McConnell and others, you are a bunch of bozos. Just like he said before, you're all stupid. Before he got to Washington, you're stupid. Your deals are stupid. Everything you do is stupid. He gets there, he finds out they're stupider than stupid. It is so stupid. They were paying North Korea. They weren't stopping North Korea. $4.5 billion went to North Korea. Hello? Trump basically is saying to the G7, go jump in a lake. Go to hell. You've been screwing us as a group like a pack of wolves. We come to your defense. We forced Britain and France to join us in your fake intelligence that you gave us from your British fake intelligence out of Syria. He forced them to bomb. Notice there's no more bombing. Notice there's no more gassing. The second that they had to ante up, the second that NATO has to ante up and pay their dues, the second that the G7, the G8, the G20 pay their dues, then we will come out on top. And if the whole thing falls through, as he says in these, good, we're better off. We don't need those agreements. And I'm going to have bilateral agreements with every nation. I'm going to sit down with their leader and their trade people, and we're going to create separate deals. There will be no more group stupid deals, because that's how America gets screwed every time. The United Nations is where it starts with the World Trade Organization, and it started with Bill Clinton when he made China most favored nation status when it was the worst in civil rights of any nation on the face of the earth. It was a sellout to Walmart. And then you have to see what Trump is doing. It's genius. Why do you think no one in America, no one has said a word about Taiwan? Taiwan has now been reduced because of the war with China to only producing 20% of our products because South Korea has picked it up. USA, Japan has picked it up. Japan has picked it up. All kinds of other nations have. China is going to war with Taiwan because if they don't get that 27%, of what we bring into this country as manufactured goods, China will collapse. The war is between China, and it's a war of trade, and that's what this is all about. And so for those of you who think that, we should go with the soy boys of Canada or France, you're missing the whole point. We don't need any of those deals. Those are all bad deals. Those are group, wolf, pack, attack deals against America, just like TPP was, just like TIPP. If those had gone into place, or the other trade deals that were on the table, or had the signed treaties been verified and confirmed by the Congress that Obama signed with the United Nations, with the World Bank, the World Trade Organizations, and many other trade organizations you don't even know exist. I'm not going to go into them, but those are the ones ripping off America. Had he signed those, we wouldn't even have an economy anymore. It would have been bled dry.
Whew, wow. Well, that's why you need a Trump tweet decoder, because you could not look at this and see all that packed thought. So thank you, Thomas. You're an amazing decoder, and you were a former cryptologist with the NSA. So, and as I recall, many will, because they've seen your story before, you actually looked at items that were going to the president's eye, for the president's eyes only.
That is correct.
That is correct. So you are, and you're a doctor. So you're Dr. Thomas Paine, Douglas Gabriel, and I will say that chocolate cheesecake was pretty darn good.
Yeah,
you're on a roll. All right, let's go on. Prime Minister Trudeau is being so indignant, bringing up the relationship that the U.S. and Canada had over the many years and all sorts of other things. He doesn't bring up the fact that they charge us up to 300% on dairy, hurting our farmers, killing our agriculture.
Canada equals Britain. Canada is ripping us off. Britain is ripping us off. Germany is ripping us off. Massively. So, when we're talking about indignation, why would Soy Boy Trudeau get to be indignant for ripping us off for decades? If he wants to talk about history, this has been going on since the time of Bill Clinton. Massive ripoff.
Well, the question is answered by because he got caught unaware. They don't have an alternative B for their economy. Their plan A was to rip us off. Now, if we stop this, they actually have to go back and make stuff and grow stuff and find markets to sell it in. So, of course, he's indignant, but it's not because of what we're doing. It's because he's been caught without plan B.
These trade deals are not two-way streets. They're one-way streets. And they only benefit the country that is ripping America off. We don't get any benefit from these trade deals. They're not trade deals. These are agreements to let us be ripped off. This is theft. This is vampirism. These are parasites. We don't need any of them. None of them.
Do we need a border wall between us and Canada?
Well, Canada's just about ready. They're not taking any more migrants. You know that. Oh, they played the virtue card, and then they put him into a big stadium, and then pretty soon they said, well, wait a second, our social service can't handle this. We're already at our limit.
Right.
They can't handle a single one. They're turning them away from their border now.
Okay, the next tweet, and remember, if you want to read along, I always have that article link in the bottom at the description box. Why isn't the European Union and Canada informing the public that for years they have used massive trade tariffs and non-monetary trade barriers against the U.S.? Totally unfair to our farmers, workers, and companies. Take down your tariffs and barriers, or we will more than match you.
Non-monetary trade barriers. There's many of them, thousands of them, and they use them against us. They'll use them to do quotas. They'll use them to do technology barriers. They'll do them to do customs laws that exclude our products from actually from their products coming in, or our products going out. These trade barriers, there's thousands of these trade barriers. So it's not just about tariffs. The whole system is rigged so that Canada gets what it wants and doesn't sell what it doesn't want. That's true for all the 6 and the G7. It's true for Britain. Britain takes what it wants. I mean, just if you think about this, it is a historic deed that he is going to say, we are going to have fair trade. That's what GATT is about, fair trade and tariffs. But it is being violated by almost every single trade agreement that Obama signed. So what is happening now, this is historic, and we're going to have two-way street. And if we drop to zero with trade with that country,
big deal.
that would be better.
Yeah.
Better than it is now.
Yeah.
So he can't lose. And that's the part that people don't understand.
No, this is great. Good. Oh, okay, the next tweet. We're going to look now to domestic issues. Obama, Schumer, and Pelosi did nothing about North Korea. And now, week on crime, high-tech Schumer is telling me what to do at the summit the Dems could never set up. Schumer failed with North Korea and Iran. We don't need his advice. And frankly, you don't need any of their advice.
Name anything Schumer ever did that was good.
Name anything that Pelosi, Obama, all they have done is rip off the American people. So we want Trump to go his own way.
There's almost nothing that Obama did that is his legacy that hasn't been found out to have massive criminal elements to it. He has to go down. He's going to have to be impeached. There's no way. I mean, just what he did with Iran with that money and trying to have banks launder the money, then forcing the EU to give it to them on pallets of cash, which then they used directly, and we didn't owe them that money, by the way, $5.7 billion. We did not owe them that money, Mr. Obama. You paid for radical Islamic terrorism to spread throughout the world. That's why you couldn't say it out loud. But then you bombed those countries, the very ones with the homes of Islamic terrorism. Why? So you would put them on the move, so that they would go to refugee camps, so George Soros could get them ships to bring them into Europe to attack Europe. This was Obama's attack against Europe. But remember, 22 million went into Europe, 20 million are in America. 20 million undocumented illegal aliens. Call them what you want: anchor babies, DACA, parents of DACA, chain migration, lottery. It doesn't matter. Visa overstays. They're all illegal. They all got to go. And Europe has now decided, the European Union has taken a vote, 28 countries said, migrants all got to go, because otherwise there'll be no Europe in 5 years. Folks, if we don't wake up, there'll be no America in 5 years. Well, actually, it'll be a little bit longer, because there's about twice as many people in Europe as there are here. So the numbers are equivalent for the invasion. But the invasion, once it reaches the same permeation that it has reached Europe, hello, we're done in. We're over. Actually, it's reverse. What am I thinking? It's reverse. It's already at that stage. Sorry. We're half as small as Europe. So we are already at the breaking point. That's why the issue of immigration must finally be faced by the Democrats. Only the Congress can make laws concerning immigration. The president's responsible for enforcing them and keeping us safe and having safe borders. But if you have no borders, if you have no immigration laws, if you have catch and release, if you have chain migration, lottery, all of these things, if you have migration rules, they now want to say any mass caravan is now legal. They want to put forth the bill.
Who's the they?
This is in the new bill for DACA.
Oh,
this is Paul Ryan's last attempt at destroying Trump and destroying his own party, the Republicans.
Well, no, he's a globalist. I mean, let's call him what he is, and he's out to destroy America. He's anti-American. And it's going to be very clear as we go forward who the globalists are and who true American patriots are. And if you're voting in any way, shape, form, or fashion to allow this invasion to continue in its various machinations, you are a globalist and you are no friend of your fellow American patriots. We're going to call you out. We're going to vote you out.
And we're going to make America great again. And what we're going to do is we're going to put Americans first, just as he said in every one of his policies, Americans first. So, you want to have a G7 deal, but you want to exclude America? Fine, I'm out. Deal me out of this game, and those countries will collapse, because $151 billion to one of those countries is a huge amount of money. They cannot make up that money. They cannot make up the money, the surplus that they rip us off for, because they tax and tariff us, and they don't allow us to do that to them. And they complain about it. I mean, these soy boys, the G6 no, you don't hear the Japanese complaining about this, because we are saving their rears again. But let's just be clear about this. Japan has a city named USA Japan, and that's where it was the number one manufacturing center for quite some time, a few decades ago. And so you'd look at your product and it'd say made in USA. USA. Japan. This is the kind of trade deals we've been doing since the Clintons, where we allow them to lie, cheat, send us products that literally have radioactive material in it from China, that have lead in it, that poisons our children, that have, how about plastic rice? How about every single type of fake anything that you can manufacture, China manufactures and sells, and they never get penalized for it. They never get in any trouble for it, and we continue to have the best trade deals in the world with China.
Well, he continues on in the next tweet, adding Canada charges the U.S. a 270% tariff on dairy products. They didn't tell you that, did they? Not fair to our farmers.
This is what I was talking about the other day. There have been times that because of the way these trade deals go, we have to order the farmers to destroy their milk, their produce, their grain. We have to destroy it so that the prices don't get adjusted because of price fixing, quotas, all kinds of these crazy non-monetary trade barriers set up rules that stop us from exporting and make us have to import. It's completely crazy. So again, as he said, I need to go off, Trump says basically, he needs to go off and stop Japan from being blown up by a crazy North Korean dictator who is insane, 100%. And I now have to deal with these soy boys who really, Trudeau just said that he assaulted a media person some years ago. Why didn't he step down? That is a sexual assault. It is illegal. Why doesn't he step down?
Well, we all know that right now there are two sets of laws for different, for two different groups. So what can I say?
And Macron, who's his wife?
Oh, yes.
Hello? That's the elite. That's the other elite set you're talking about.
Yes. And so he's one of them, and so is Trudeau. Okay, next one. Looking forward to straightening out unfair trade deals with the G7 countries. If it doesn't happen, we come out even better. And let me just remind you, his strength is in the ability to get to the negotiation table and to walk away any damn time he wants. That is the strength that we have. And I'm glad to see that he is walking away from some of these deals, because these other countries, and the one I can't think comes to mind that just recently happened, the summit in North Korea. He said, fine, we won't do it. Whoa, what do you mean? You're supposed to come and beg and give us cash, and you know how that works. And it didn't work with POTUS.
That's exactly right. And it's a whole new thing. They don't know how to deal with it. And so, the soy boys are going back, and Merkel, the person who basically is single-handedly, she is one of a handful of people that is completely responsible for the demise of Europe. And yet we're going to listen to what she has to say about a trade deal from a European Union that is collapsing, that can't get any agreements, that just said that they need to kick the migrants out because their entire social service system, their entire economy will be collapsed in 5 years, and they want to do trade deals. Here's the trade deal. Yeah, when you are not being assaulted, when you are not under battle conditions, when you are not in a war with Islamic fascists, then maybe we can do a trade deal. And we need to go back to saying that if you do not have civil rights in your country for your people, we're not doing trade deals with you. That would end half of our trade deals in the world, because right now Britain doesn't have civil rights for their own people because they allow Muslims to kill their people in the street and do nothing about it. They allow them to rape their children institutionally for decades and decades, and they do not prosecute these people. So in other words, we should do no business with any country that is involved in these type of human rights violations, because there's corporations do this and they get away with it. But now to have countries do it and get away with it, and then to accuse America of being in the wrong because we won't roll over and let them gut us? And no. Go, Mr. President. I hope Wilbur Ross scares the snot out of them, because he is one of them, and he takes people like that with him. He was considering not going and sending Biden. Yeah, Biden would like to go, sending the vice president, but he said, no. They all told him, no, you got to go. Nobody can do this like you. And yeah, you can send Wilbur, and Wilbur's going to smash him. And you can send your Wolverine and your honey badger and your to go get him. But
Pack
you
of
know
wolves.
what? It takes you, Mr. President, because you're just going to say it in like one meme, one tweet. You're going to say it in one sound bite. That ain't fair. How about that ain't fair, y'all? I'm leaving. There you go.
Okay, now let's go to one of these feel-good tweets, which he's got to do. And congratulations to the Washington Capitals on their great play in winning the Stanley Cup championship. The team captain was spectacular, a true superstar. DC is popping in many ways. What a time.
That's as surprising as the stuff Trump is doing. And so, that's just great. I hope they come visit him in the White House, seeing that, they are the Washington Capitals.
Okay, the next tweet is the last one for the day, and you can go on as long as you like. And also wrap us up with anything you found in the news today that you think is pertinent. I am heading for Canada and the G7 for talks that will mostly center on the long-time unfair trade practiced against the United States. From there, I go to Singapore and talks with North Korea on denuclearization. Won't be talking about the Russian witch hunt hoax for a while. And maybe we'll get a break from having to decode the tweets for a bit.
Woo, wouldn't that be nice? I tell you, it's deep stuff. So, of course, this underscores everything. Singapore, when you say Singapore, you say Britain. So what's going to go down there is the same thing that everyone should understand, the same British control as always, but he is going to upset them. Oh, they call him all kinds of names. What do they call him? The big, not distractor, but he destroys everything he gets near. He should, because it's all corrupt and it's all institutionalized evil. So I'm really happy about that.
So will Sir Geoffrey Patty show up for an event like this?
He'll send his minions without a doubt.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Now, Mick Mulvaney. He of course is in charge of the budget, but he was put in charge of the what's it called, the financial
the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau,
which it is the opposite of.
Now we're going off the tweets. Is that right?
No, this is right on the tweets.
Oh.
This has to do with the fact that all of these things are because the SES is on the run.
Now, that's the Senior Executive Service.
Okay. So all the people who used to do all the trade deals, they're not invited anymore.
Yes!
Those SES members...
How did you get that out of that tweet?
Because I know who the SES members are, and because this has to do with the... He's saying he's not going to... He's talking about trade. He's talking about what's really going on, and that he's not going to be able to focus on the witch hunt right now, which is too bad because there's some really exciting things happening there. But what I'm pointing out is very clear. The SES is no longer involved in trade deals. The SES is no longer involved in USAID. He's going to get rid of them. And he's going to downgrade how much is paid out by the Secretary of State for the pay-to-play USAID, or aid to international development. So
you mean the corporate country welfare program?
That's the whole point.
The banker welfare program. Because you tell me how the bankers can get all this money and then they're responsible for doling it out for humanitarian needs for a particular country. Oh my gosh, is that a criminal activity right there?
Yes, it is, and it's done by a group that we taxpayers pay for them. SES members run it. But we don't get any of the profits because it's a private corporation. The same thing is true for what they're telling you. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau is when they say it's an independent agency, it is a friggin' corporation that steals the money that they get by being attack bulldogs created by Elizabeth Warren and Larry Summers and Harvard University. This was a way to make the Dodd-Frank Act be powerful. So in 2010, they came in, and Elizabeth Warren came in with this crazy idea. She's going to go after those bad bankers. She didn't go after a single big banker. She went after the small bankers and all the small people getting in the way of the big bankers. She might as well be queen of the big bankers. And now she wants to run for president? Elizabeth Warren, right? Pocahontas? Is this the same person we're talking about?
Oh, no. She knows she
Is this Hiawatha? I mean, who the... This woman was a nothing.
No, but she's very upset about this move because it's taking down all the senior executive service employees in that agency. So basically, these folks are getting red-pilled. Now, we told them many months ago, we told SES, you're on our radar. You need to take your early retirements and go, because Trump has several options here. One is the Holman Rule, or is it the Holman Clause?
Holman Clause.
Okay, where he can reduce their salaries tremendously. He could reduce them down to $1 a year, all of you. Or he can start downsizing and reshifting and shaping these different agencies. But SES people, you're going. You hear that sound? That's a flush in the swamp.
We told you when Mick Mulvaney was appointed the head of this nasty group, Elizabeth Warren's Protect the Big Banks group, that he would simply slow walk it to death. And that's what he's doing. And then when the advisory council started complaining, he fired them all. Okay, SES members don't get fired. But they can be fired if they're not really government workers and if they're in a fake corporation saying that they're part of the government, which they're not. And so goodbye, OPIC, the same thing. Goodbye, half a USAID. Goodbye to the Crown agents. Goodbye to CACI. Goodbye to Serco. Goodbye. It's the end of you jerks, because the senior executive service members are not going to be making these decisions anymore. Trump is, because he knows he can't trust a single friggin' one of those people. He can only trust about a dozen people in Washington right now, okay?
So these are the things that are going on behind the scenes. And folks, you're not going to know about it, because it's not like Fox News is going to report anything on senior executive service or Serco, much less any of the media. I mean, where are you going to go to get this kind of information about what's really going on behind the scenes?
June is the month that his executive request that every single agency turn in a report of how they're going to downgrade, stop the crazy spending, and get rid of these mid-level managers, SES. This is literally in it. Mid-level managers, that's who they are. They're all gone. They're all going to be gone, because every agency is going to say, these people, SES members, they're dead weight. Not only that, they scare us.
And they're obstructionist.
They're massive obstructionists.
And they're anti-American, because they are working for the globalist agenda. They are not working to make America great again.
So, Mick Mulvaney, we told you when they stretched his position to cover the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau that this is a sign of the future, that he would walk that agency to death, because the money that they stole from the people they attacked went to, that's right, George Soros, non-government organizations that directly were put there by Barack Obama, just like he took money from Fannie Mae and gave it to them, just like he took money from all kinds of places, took it out of the government and gave it to democratically inspired George Soros Open Society, Tides Foundation, non-government organizations that created Black Lives Matter, Antifa, all those other, the Southern Poverty Law Organization, Council, whatever they're called, what Google's doing, all these things are all being paid for by money that is stolen by an organization that was working in the opposite direction. That organization was supposed to stop big banks. So now Dodd-Frank has been changed. It's been modified just recently. And that was the bill that Obama put in place in 2010 to give big banks more power than they ever had before. And put so many regulations that small banks were regulated out of existence. That's what Elizabeth Warren's job was. But in a private corporation where she was the only boss, they removed even an advisory council. She was going to be the only person in charge of this agency that had basically carte blanche to do whatever they wanted and got to keep or direct the money the way that they wanted. So Mick Mulvaney is the sign of what is about to happen. Dan Coates is the other sign. He is from the Office of the Director of National Intelligence. He was ordered by Trump to stop surveillance of Americans. That's why Facebook is being sued. In Europe, that's why Facebook had to go to court here, go to the Congress and testify. That's why Facebook's being busted. That's why Google's being busted. That's why all these things are going down. American surveillance is coming out because Dan Coates is working behind the scenes to make sure that these things come out. And by simply going and saying to certain people, I think you should put an article about such and so, or you should do such and so. And it's a setup, like Brad Pascal. That was a setup that would be reversed upon Strategic Communications Laboratories and their group Cambridge Analytica, which has now gone bankrupt. So there are things afoot. They're behind the scenes, and that's why we need to decode these tweets for you so you'll know what is really going on.